problem here is being this 4-foot line. You really have to be careful when you're playing down the 4-foot line on both sides of the sheet, because let's take a look at it. When you hold the brush out here, for example, to play this outside-in shot, it will run very straight. It's been doing this all week. Not quite so bad today. It'll break just a little bit at the end. I'll just clear that for a second. But when you move the broom over, for example, just inside the edge of the 4-foot, if you have to make a draw or a quiet tap back, you get all kinds of movement. It breaks big time right out of the hand, so you have to be so careful. Now, we had a little bit of frost all week, but today it seems better. But it has been creeping in a little bit, so if you're playing out in the sides, you have to watch the frost. Brushing is important, and yes, the slide path in the later ends.
The two skips, Jackie Lockhart, Colleen Jones, Scotland out of Aberdeen. Canadian champions from the Mayflower Club in Halifax. By virtue of their 7-2 round-robin record, the Scots got the choice. They took the hammer. They'll play the Red Stones. And so to get us going here in this first end, the semifinal, the winner to play Sweden for the Ford World Championship, this is Nancy Delahunt.
You know, Linda, when they put this team together, you talked about this during the week, and you were right on. Colleen's always been a terrific curler. She's always been there. We've talked about her 17 appearances, etc., etc., etc. But when they put this team together, all of a sudden it became just that, a really good team. And as I mentioned, you know, the good teams win, but great teams win when other people think they shouldn't. And this is one of those teams. And you watch them play and you think, gee, how did they win that? They win it because when Colleen in particular, but the whole team, not just Colleen, I shouldn't say that. The whole team, when they get their back against the wall, when they get squeezed into a corner, all of a sudden they make the right shots.
For that sequence of 4 shots you showed, it was not easy after sitting 2 wins, 4 losses, and then they had to make those next 4 games, and as you showed, had to make key shots in each one of them to make it even through to the tiebreaker, and here they are in the semifinal. And I do expect it to be open. I don't think Jackie Lockhart wants to take any big chances early because her team is probably a little nervous, and that's the one really big advantage that Colleen Jones has in these games. If she makes it through to the final again, the same thing. She is the most experienced team in the playoffs. We talked about the curl. Here's the speed. These ice times are brought to you by Karcher, and measuring between the hog lines, we'll see hit about 9 seconds, hack 11.5. But it's that draw, that one that we're really not sure about, around 13.5 seconds. And yes, Ray, you're right. Today it was a little more consistent. You were talking about the curl, also the speed.
Did it get it all to 14, Linda, this afternoon? I know you watched most of that game.
I did not see it with my watch.
It's the same as
we thought at the early part of the week, Linda talked about the speeds, and we thought it might go to 14, but it really didn't. It stayed consistent all week. You had to watch when you went outside. There was some frost. It doesn't look as obvious today, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Well, the weather has changed dramatically. It has dried up, gotten very, very nice here. Temperatures at about 20 Celsius today, maybe even a little higher. That's into the high 60s, low 70s Fahrenheit.
I think playing it wide open, Jackie plays it wide open, and you're really playing into Colleen's hands, in my opinion. I really think Jackie, I agree, she has a very inexperienced team, so I can see her playing 3 or 4 ends that way, or 2 or 3 ends that way. But I think if she continues to play it wide open, I think that you're playing right into Colleen's hands. She loses very few games when on the mechanical errors. Now, Marianne Way struggled a little bit this week, not drastically, but she came up big again this morning. Kim Kelly, she's always there for you, and Nancy just keeps putting the rocks in the right places. Wide open end.
And because it's an inexperienced team, I think it's a bit of an advantage for Jackie Lockhart in Scotland to have the hammer to start this game off. That means they pretty well knew Canada was going to probably toss the first one in. So they knew they could keep it simple if they wanted to. And I do think Jackie will try and blank the first end, hold the hammer, and then see how her team is feeling about putting up some front stones.
Well, you mentioned Jackie Lockhart, and she being the only one with experience at the World Championship. This is her 6th. She lost the final. She was the second to, played the second position to Isabel Torrance. Now Isabel Hannon, who is the coach of this team, and they lost the final to you, Linda, in 1985. But it's a funny thing, Ray, you know, you talk about this team, this Canadian team. I think it has earned its respect, honestly, but it keeps fighting for respect, and I don't know why that is.
Well, that was true, I think, for a long time, and even up until maybe this year. But I think with the World Championship win last year, Vic, and we were there to watch it all. She lost her first 2 games, and she just put on a roll. She won 9 in a row. The European teams did not press her last year, did not put rocks in play, and that's why I say I think eventually Jackie's going to have to try and make a play of that kind to beat this young lady. But I think now everyone is saying exactly what we're saying, and I talked to, for example, Gary Vandenberg and Jonathan Meade today are here to watch for the weekend, and they were saying the same thing. You know, Ray, she just comes up with the right shots at the right times, and when it seems she gets cornered, she gets better. She just gets stronger. The whole team gets stronger when you squeeze them. Let's think back to the Scott and Sudbury. I mean, Kelly Law was 3 up playing the 8th end, and Colleen got 3, and then she stole 1, and then they tied it up, and Colleen makes a hit and roll to the 4-foot for the win. I mean, you can go on through her whole career and just bring up game after game after game as soon as she put this team together.
Well, there's no doubt winning 3 Canadian championships in the last 4 years will earn you a lot of respect. But it's funny, though, that when they hiccup, though, people go, uh-oh, well, there you go again.
Well, it's a good point you make, because they do play unconventional. They play some things where you shake your head. I mean, there was a situation this morning, Linda and I talked about, I think it was the 3rd end, Linda, where there was she had last rock, and there was a corner guard out in front, and only 3 rocks, she had 3 to come, and her opposition had 2, and as opposed to going behind it to really, you know, to maybe pick up a deuce, she peeled it off, and you know, it actually even surprised Kim Kelly, who was at the other end. She thought, oh, well, why wouldn't we go behind that? But you know, she seems to do the things when she feels she wants to do them, not when they're maybe obvious to all the rest of us.
Sheila Swan throws the 3rd stone for the Scottish champions from the Lawrence Kirk Curling Club in Aberdeen. Up and down in this first end of the semi-final, Scotland with the hammer.
Both of those throws by Sheila were a little shaky. She just got a piece of the Canadian stone, and I really do think she may feel the nerves today. She has struggled a little bit during the week, and Colleen maybe can exploit that advantage at 3rd position.
Yeah. Well, it is so big to get that nice free draw.
This is just 4 teams and
Nice surface.
semifinals, sudden death.
Okay, we'll clean her up.
Doherty Nordby 1 down, losing her game to Sweden, as Linda's mentioned.
Okay, 3.5, same as practice, eh?
The winner of this game on to the final.
You see great numbers for the Canadian team in that in that tiebreaker, but it was the Swiss team that curled equally well, and it did come down to a great last shot. Maybe a good thing for Canada in a way, to be forced a little bit to play well and make a key shot. Maybe prepares them for this game.
Do you think there's more pressure on the Canadians in this game, or there wasn't that tiebreaker,
That could
Linda?
have been anywhere. You know, we really
I think there was more in the tiebreaker, but I think there was more in the round robin than now. I think as soon as Ray said it, as soon as they got to 2 and 4, it was, you've got to go for it. Just keep playing.
Very impressive with Manuela Corman.
But you can see how they started out with 2 straight wins, and then 4, streak right through to finish the round robin at 5 and 4, and then there was a 3-team tiebreaker. Switzerland actually beat Denmark to advance, and then it was the Canadians' win this morning over the Swiss that gets them now into the final 4 spot.
As we watch Jackie play this shot, Vic, if you think back to the first game after those losses, and that was Russia, not only did Canada have to win, and as Ray showed you, had to make a shot in an extra end, but then, Vic, the right teams had to lose, and in that same draw, things started to happen for them. So the pressure in some ways came off them a little bit at that point.
Scotland, by comparison, only the 2 losses all week, and it was a big loss But a good one, obviously, for Switzerland because it got them in that round robin, 9th round robin game, allowed the three-way tie for that final playoff spot. But as you can see, they were the best at 7-2 the entire week.
And very consistent as far as those shooting percentages go. They really never had a big low or a big high, this Scottish team.
Hair last, Nance. Right up center, that's it.
You know, you just think back, you know, think of the game that Colleen herself played against Sherry Anderson in the final. I mean, it was 98% or something. She just, big game. She's a big game player. There's no question about that.
Hurry!
And in every sport, there are athletes like that that come up big at the right time.
Final stone for the Canadians. Scotland. Oh, she got it going and just caught a piece as it came across the face.
Not the place to narrow up.
Yes, a little snug on the ice, I say.
I didn't like the way the third had thrown it, and I thought it might hang on center. Yeah, okay.
Well, that relates back to what you said about Sheila Swan, the Scottish third, and how she threw it and then Colleen reading off that.
That's right, and it's tough sometimes to get a read when the player threw it. I think Sheila was a little inside when she let it go, and Colleen, if she tried to read off of that throw, would not have gotten the right ice call.
Jackie Lockhart and her last. And a throw through to maintain control of the hammer. Will blank the first here in this semifinal at Pacific Center in Bismarck, North Dakota. The winner is on to Saturday's final to play Sweden.
Yeah, no. I knew rules, but I was afraid.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you by Karcher, quality cleaning equipment, by Nokia, proud sponsor of the Nokia Briar, and by Ford. Ford of Canada supports the love of the sport and the drive to achieve. 03.
Well, it's quite a night of curling coming up Saturday night, beginning at 7 Eastern, the Whirlpool Battle of the Sexes for $20,000 in prize money. People such as Wayne Maddaw, Guy Hemmings will face Sherry Maddaw, Marilyn Bodo, Jennifer Jones from Winnipeg. Followed, of course, by our coverage of the men's semifinal as Canada goes against the U.S. Saturday night here on TSN.
Well, this is an interesting situation. The first stone of the end did come short. That was Nancy Delahunt's first rock. It was a nice come around by Scotland, so now Colleen's going to try and run it back. Remember, with 4-rock rule, you can remove your own guard out in front of the house if this run back doesn't work, and there is no penalty incurred. But the team was surprised at that call. They thought she would play the come around.
I think she you know, I talked about it. I think she wanted the first one in, Colleen wanted the first one in, but it just came up a little short. And then a great come around by Ann Laird. Terrific come around. Now a chance to set up a possible two.
First appearance at the World for Anne, although she, as you saw there, had been in a World Junior before. But only Jackie Lockhart has been at the Ford Worlds before.
Yep. Level, come on, dig in. Quick! Dig. So, Jake. Sorry.
Hit and roll, you have to believe your eyes here. It will curl with a foot or more, about 14 inches here.
Call the double, it's not coming.
That's a number we might not have expected, Linda.
No, it's been a little lower than expected, but she has been playing better of late. Actually, the whole team has been looking a lot stronger in the last few games.
Okay, Marianne.
And Marianne throws that up weight nicely. She made a critical, actually, double peel in the tiebreaker game.
Warwick Smith and the
Hit
Scottish
roll,
men on
that's what it's
hand.
called.
Enjoying their ice creams, it looks like. No, boys. Fellows from Perth. Don't get those. They don't get ice cream cones like that in Perth, I don't think. But they'll be playing Norway. Paul Trulson, the gold medal winner from Salt Lake City in the semifinal tomorrow morning.
There's a nice little ice parlor in Perth, but I'm not sure if there's any like that in Perth.
That's right. They have looked good, those cones. We've seen those cones going by all week, and they're double and triple scoopers.
Oh, you know you wouldn't have one of those.
No,
not in a million
the new me.
years.
Not the new me.
I saw you with the tuna last night.
They decided to play the hit and try and roll away from this spot.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Come on, move. Just stick. Run. Oh, shot. Shot.
The hit and roll safe.
There's no double. Just hit and roll to there.
Strong as always, Kim Kelly.
A little bit less than Marianne.
And you made the point earlier in the week
Hard.
that how she goes really does help the Canadian team.
Hard, guys.
Not just her shot making, Vic, exactly just her spirit, her enthusiasm, her positive way of talking to the team. And it hasn't been easy to be positive, especially in the middle part of the week with those losses stacking up.
Wow, let her curl up.
Set up here, though, for Scotland to score a possible deuce.
Yeah, this would be a real boost for Jackie Lockhart if she could get a 2 here with an inexperienced team, as Linda's mentioned. It can do a lot for you, boy.
Okay. It's okay.
Just take the pressure off you. Colleen trying to get the roll over a little bit.
Wow, it's going to curl that much, girls? Wow. You want me to roll, Skipper?
A little. A little. It's going to move, Kim.
So much else.
Am I wrong, Linda? At this point of the week, there should be no doubts about the ice.
It's been tricky enough, Vic, that there's a little question, and this is the one on the edge of the forefoot that Ray talked about in reading the ice. I think Kim's right that that looked like quite a bit of ice. I don't think Colleen was really into rolling that far when taking that much ice.
I wonder if you should use your gliding rock as a hit rock.
Oh, it's a hit rock.
As opposed to trying to figure out.
You can see with about 2 inches of ice, or even on the edge of the stone for the outside in shot, if you were hitting that with the in turn down there for the right-handed curler, you'd be taking about 14 inches of ice.
Whoa.
Just can't get these outside, or they'll stay out there.
Oh, good, Sheila.
Nice shot is right.
Manages to hold it there on the edge of the
Let
8th.
me rethink Nancy's straight back. I think we should
Scotland had the hammer in the first end in round robin play, blanked it, and got a single, but then it's big steal in the third, and that was a good start for them. And there was a huge shot that Jackie made in the last end, but interestingly enough, she did not curl that well in that game. And Kim Kelly, as you saw, had an edge at third, and that's why I think that will be a key again today.
It's hard to believe when you don't curl that well as an individual or as a team that you can still win the game.
It was a very wide open game, and if you recall, it was a big shot that Scotland made on their last rock that won it. Otherwise, it could have been a steal for Colleen, and she could have stolen that whole game away.
Try to set up a double, and she might roll out on this side.
First skip stone, Canada. Scotland has the hammer after a blank in one.
Whoa. 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 Yep. Whoa. Yeah. Yep. Hurry. Yep.
roll it, Nance. Roll it. Roll it. Roll it.
Shot. We're over there. My God, that walk.
Good shot.
Stop.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Yep.
Nice roll by Colleen, grouping the stones a little bit. Jackie will try and roll away from that spot.
Through and away.
Just inside the 4-foot line here, but the 4-foot lines weren't as noticeable today. But it's still there. If you're just inside it, it should curl a little bit for you.
Jackie curled with Kirsty Hay in
Good
the
fun.
Olympics in 1998.
Whoa, easy. Clean.
Laird and Fairweather with the scrub. Hold it. Don't want to lose it. It'll let Canada off the hook, and they can't hold it.
Unlucky.
That's a huge shot, Vic. That in-turn just inside the center moved a bit at the end.
Yeah, that's okay though.
She felt she was a touch inside. They didn't brush it right out of her hand.
We just need to be fully up to that stick. That's okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Fine.
So a nice roll by Colleen to get into a spot that Jackie found a little tricky, and now a chance for Colleen to get rid of the only other rock in the house.
She's playing the inside-out shot, her out turn. Surprise, surprise.
Whoa. Just clean, girls. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Whoa. Clean only. Nice throw, Colleen.
Good shot.
So now Scotland and
know you
Jackie
went for the
Lockhart will try and blank.
No.
Yeah. No, Nance was sweeping that one out. At least 2 feet in front of the rock. Like, I'm like,
I know.
please give me the
Get
broom.
closer. Yeah. I know we. Firm.
Yeah. If we can go out, then that's great.
Right.
The last throw, because we played it very good there. And we didn't catch it in time,
It's
okay?
all right. Through and away.
I think Jackie feels that maybe the brushing on her first one was the problem, that if they got on the brushing a little earlier, they would have held it on that spot, and so they'll be a little more aware now.
And I think she's right.
Whoa. Whoa. Bigger.
Whoa! Whoa! Let off!
That's all right.
Looking for the blank and will not get it. So Scotland on their first by Lockhart, failing to hold a shooter, and now missing the chance to blank, will take the early lead. Canada will have the hammer when we come back.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you in part by Husky and Mohawk, leaders in fuel, food, and convenience. By JVC, excite your senses. And by Whirlpool Home Appliances, proudly supporting extraordinary Canadian women athletes and everyday champions across the country.
Unlike women's play, there were no tiebreakers on the men's side of things, and so the Scots finished first. They will play Norway, and Canada and Randy Furby will play the U.S. And Paul Pustovar will have it for you Saturday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, the men's semifinal from here at the Ford Worlds.
Nice shot.
Canada with the hammer for the first time as we start play in the third. 1-0 Scotland.
So Scotland put up the center line guard, and it was a come around by Nancy that did not bury, and that allowed the Scottish lead and Laird to play the hit.
Close. You trying to roll away or in?
Your nose.
You could roll away now.
Your nose.
We could have had we been a little proactive.
So Jackie Lockhart decided in this game to put something up front now that she didn't get the blank in the last stand, and there's the come around that was left open. A nice hit. The Scottish lead actually is very strong
Steady.
in the exchange.
Line only.
Whoa, whoa.
Wait, it's good, Jake.
Whoa, whoa, right off, right off, right off, right off. Right off, right off, right off.
Come on.
Good cat.
There was no
No,
chance.
it wasn't going to come.
Javert?
Feel free to call that when you're.
Well, and then it did sort of
Okay,
go.
control.
I know it's hard sometimes.
Looking for the little
What did
roll.
you say for weight? Control. Control. Control.
Little more than control, maybe. Regular-ish. Do you want to roll the swing?
Yep.
You gotta know. You gotta know. Never mind. By the time.
I know.
Magnet.
Yeah.
Does that mean now we have 20 extra people? Can we count them in the stands?
Victor. It's been a long season, folks. We apologize.
Well, the crowds, to be honest with you, crowds have gotten better.
Yeah,
Probably from about Wednesday on. And they're expecting a fair number to make the drive in for the weekend.
It's hard to get it right in between.
It's a very nice arena, actually, the Civic Center
It's
in Bismarck.
gorgeous, gorgeous. And the people here have been so friendly, and it's been very well organized, the transportation. And John Mikey's done a great job with his committee.
And there's people here from Winnipeg, I know, working on the committee. There are volunteers from Canada that have come down, which is really nice because Vic mentioned that the curling club itself doesn't have a lot of members.
Just the 200 members, but they have 600 volunteers. So many people taking pride in their city and helping out and being exposed to the game.
Thanks.
Marianne must have been inside right out of her hand because that rock was wide open.
Good night.
Jackie Lockhart going to
Out of that,
split the
push it
house
back.
and force it, or is still thinking
How
about
about-
the tap?
Yeah. 2-9.
Split the rings with the intern draw.
Just
Sheila
line.
Swan with the throw,
Just
the
line.
Scottish
Yep.
third.
Yep. Yep.
Well, she did decide on the tap. Didn't want to spread them out and force it.
Looked like she was going to play to the other side, and then she, as you mentioned, Linda, she's gone to the tap.
So nice. Nice.
Chance to roll behind that a little bit.
Yeah.
Regular, Kim.
Regular.
Regular.
Yep.
Kim Kelly.
Hard, guys. Hurry. Hard. Hurry. Hard going the other way. Hard, 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 hard. Hard.
I don't know what's happened. Like I know it was moving, but it's going nutty. Good, Kim.
And it
Good-
will
good
just
throw,
hang on to
Kim.
the back edge.
Okay.
They've been playing for the Women's World Curling Championships since 1979. That very first year was in Perth, Scotland, and in all the semifinals since then, including the semifinal today, which Sweden won over Norway. The team that scored
Good
first
back.
in
Yep,
a semifinal has won 35 times
Very hard.
and lost
Whoa.
only
Easy.
12.
Whoa, whoa. Yep. Yeah.
Scotland opened the scoring with a single in the second.
Hard.
Oh, they hang it right on the edge, boy. Forcing it now against the Canadians here in the third.
I think if you hit this a couple times, it'll be out.
And nicer throws now by Sheila. You can see the rock coming off her hand, and she's much cleaner with the release. Settled down a little bit.
More weight. Please.
Yep.
Whoa. It's firm.
Whoa, whoa.
I think that's the difference.
Just trying to
It's
stay
just
here.
the
Yep,
weights.
yep. Sorry.
That will do it on that spot for sure. We saw that all week. On that 4-foot line, a little bit extra weight that makes a huge difference.
Get little. Okay. Maybe a tad. Just make sure I'm up to the. Yep.
Linda, I think it may come as a surprise to some people. We mentioned that Jackie lost to you in 1985. The Scots have never won a Women's World Championship. They have been second 5 times.
It is surprising. It's a nation that has brought great teams to the World Championship, and we've seen the strength in the men's side and the number of times that they've been able to be in the final and capture the title.
They may have made up for that this year with a gold medal, however.
Yes. And Jackie Lockhart's outright first place finish at 7-2 is the first time since that very first Women's World Championship in '79. Beth Lindsay was first overall then. Never did it since until this year.
Good, Jake.
And that very first year, Vic, a tiebreaker team did win, which is rather surprising.
She might just draw to sit too if we hit this.
So she is one of the 5 second-place teams, and it's
So it looks like
her
we'd be
coach,
out.
the lady that skipped the team that year, Isabel Torrance, is now here and is her
And that was
I think the
coach.
Scottish crowd have been drinking.
You know, yeah, I knew. Yeah, we were trying to
You
see
think?
what that makes regular, but we can't be-
Surprise,
Surprise,
surprise.
surprise.
God, does it ever? Yeah, I know, I'm gonna go back to what I threw the second time.
Canada with the hammer and facing a couple. This will be Colleen Jones first.
Just clean. Wall, just clean. Just clean. Wall for a minute, right off the section. Okay.
Need to roll a little bit the other way.
Okay. Okay, now she's gonna draw. Oh, around it.
That's a first. 4-time Canadian women's champion as a skip.
Take that back, just.
And then last year's World Championship was her first. But it has really been a battle here in Bismarck, winning 2, losing 4, then coming on a
Does?
getting on a roll and then winning the tiebreaker this morning.
Yeah.
Up and down.
What are you looking for?
295.
Okay.
3.
Very much up and down, Vic, the way they played, and as we said, a few mistakes and what we consider mistakes in strategy, maybe some really uncharacteristic mistakes in communication. Normally this team is just so strong in all those areas, but they've really smoothed out some of those problems in the last few games. And Marianne Way was one of the ones that really did struggle, very not much like she was in the Scott for all those years that we've seen her.
Talking to it and it listens. Almost let
Good job.
Got the rings round the wrong way.
Canada off the hook again.
Never mind.
Forces Colleen to draw. Take a single.
3-5.
There's nothing at the back there. There's things to double would be too thin to try to get out of it.
No, there's no
chance.
percentage at all. No.
You don't want to be forced, but in a way it's kind of nice for Colleen to get a draw here and get a bit of feel.
3-2, really?
I mean, Kevin Martin could run a double down there and jump it over. And Warwick Smith might be able to do that as well.
Full 12.
Just no percentage.
She questioned the split
Full
time
12.
3-2 a little bit, Linda.
Well, they actually
guys.
have a number of
50-50.
systems.
Full
The
12, you got
split's
it.
actually more like 3-4. It's 23 and a bit.
Nice shot, Colleen.
The full length of the sheet.
Great sweep.
Very
job.
nice.
One yellow.
And facing 2, and she'll put it on the button for the single.
Nice shot, Colleen.
Here in the third. We're all tied. Scotland, Canada in this women's semifinal at Fort Worth.
Hi, I'm Colleen Jones from Team Canada. Watch us next on TSN.
It was 20 years ago, 1982, when she won her first Canadian Women's Curling Championship. It took 17 long years to win number 2. But she has dominated women's curling since then, winning 3 of the past 4. And then last year in Lausanne, for the first time becoming the women's Ford World Curling Champion. In Brandon of this year, she made it a record 4th win as a skip. But here, Jones is back at the Ford Worlds, and she struggled all week. But she is where she wants to be. She's into the Final 4 and 2 wins away from another world title. Oh, Canada. It's been a rough week for the Canadians. In a tiebreaker, it took a dramatic last rock win to get by Switzerland and into the semi-final. Colleen Jones thinks she's on a roll now. She has been the best all week. Great Scott! Jackie Lockhart and the team from Aberdeen going through at 7-2. The best then. Can they be the best now?
So the idea was to take your old linens, patchwork basically, sew them together to make the quilt.
Yes.
Hi everybody and welcome back to TSN's continuing coverage of the Ford World Curling Championships from Bismarck, North Dakota, together with the Capital Quilters, who get together once a month to carry on the tradition started by the early settlers about 150 years ago. They would take old linens, old cottons, maybe an old shirt, for example, that wasn't worn out in the back, and then they would use the patchwork to make bedspreads for their own use or for those in the village. I have trouble, you know, just doing my own socks, but I'll keep going here.
You're doing just fine.
Thank you. It's been a bit of a patchwork kind of week for Colleen Jones and the Canadian women. They started off well, then lost 4 straight, and now have put together a string of wins, including the tiebreaker win over the Swiss today, which sets up this winner-take-all semifinal with Scotland. As we go back to the Civic Center, join Linda and Ray. Ladies, what do you think? How have I done so far? Maybe a little bit more help, right? Thanks.
Victor, that's the exact reason why they didn't let you drive the Bobcat at the factory yesterday. You know, Linda, good teams win, but great teams win when everybody thinks they shouldn't have. This is a great team.
This Canadian team really hanging on by a thread. Remember earlier in the week, they were 2 wins and 4 losses, and people had really written them off. But they have come back and playing much better now at the end of the week. Well, let's look at what they have to do today in order to make it through to the final. I think I call these my keys to success because for me, Canada must be a little more aggressive, especially when they have the hammer. When they've done it in the last 2 games, they've been great. A little bit of a miscue in the last stand today against Switzerland. They have to be very clear about the communication in this semi-final. And I think there's a huge matchup at third. Kim Kelly has been very strong, and there may be a little weakness at the Scottish third position. So for Scotland, what do they need to do? There's a very inexperienced team here, so Jackie Lockhart needs to keep it simple until her team gets comfortable. Big game for them. Set up the corner guards to play their in-turn come-arounds. We know that Colleen prefers the out-turn. And Jackie Lockhart must be very strong because she is the one with experience. She is a very good player, but I believe she's going to have to make some big saves in this game today.
Well, Colleen Jones, we've said it all. When the going get tough, the tough get going, and that's exactly what she does. It seems when she gets her back against the wall, she just makes it. And when she has to make those winning shots, she's always there. Let's look at a few of them this week. Unbelievable against Russia. She has to hit and stick. And this was a game where Russia had control again, and Colleen finally fought back. They get to this last shot on extra end. She's got a hit and stick. She just hangs in there, but it doesn't matter how much she stays by. It's a victory. Let's look at the U.S. game. Boy, is she in trouble in the second end of this game. She really is. They're lying 4 against her. She has to, and they have last rock. She has to make a raise to the 4-foot to get her team out of trouble behind cover. And yes, she makes it. She ends up stealing a point. That's not all, folks. We got more. Against South Korea, a game you think that they should control, Linda. They should win this game fairly easy, considering the experience of Korea. But no, it comes down to that last rock, an in-turn draw to the 4-foot. And where is she? In the 4-foot. We just expect it, and she makes them. This morning against Switzerland, an extra end again. She has to draw to the forefoot. A very, very well curled game by both teams. A tremendous game that comes down to this last shot. You just know she's going to make it. And here she is now in the semifinal. Everybody is in first place with this system, Linda. Everybody's there now. Colleen Jones, she can win it all, and I think she may. Now, Vic, do you think there's any chance they could quilt me a conservative jacket?
I don't know if there's enough material. Just bobbing along here at the Ford Worlds, Canada, Scotland. Coming right up. Earlier today in the other semifinal, Sweden and Margareta Sigfridsson was a winner over the two-time world champion Dorothy Nordby, Sweden scoring 2 in the 10th for a 7-6 win, so they are on to Saturday's final as we welcome you back to the Civic Center in Bismarck. Just the one sheet in play for the semifinal. It is Sheet B, Canada-Scotland. Let's read the ice now with Ray, and it's brought to you by Ford.
It's been a good surface. It's been a little bit tricky, but it has lots of curl. Now, the big problem here has been this 4-foot line. You really have to be careful when you're playing down the 4-foot line on both sides of the sheet, because let's take a look at it. When you hold the brush out here, for example, to play this outside-in shot, it will run very straight. It's been doing this all week. Not quite so bad today. It'll break just a little bit at the end. Just clear that for a second. But when you move the broom over, for example, just inside the edge of the 4-foot, if you have to make a draw or a quiet tap back, you get all kinds of movement. It breaks big time right out of the hand, so you have to be so careful. Now, we had a little bit of frost all week, but today it seems better. But it has been creeping in a little bit, so if you're playing out in the sides, you have to watch the frost. Brushing is important, and yes, the slide path in the later ends has been breaking down just a little bit. So once again, the judgment of brushing in this area here is very key. It's been a good surface. This should be a terrific curling game.
The two skips, Jackie Lockhart, Colleen Jones, Scotland out of Aberdeen. Canadian champions from the Mayflower Club in Halifax. By virtue of their 7-2 round-robin record, the Scots got the choice. They took the hammer. They'll play the Red Stones. And so to get us going here in this first end, the semifinal, the winner to play Sweden for the Ford World Championship, this is Nancy Delahunt.
You know, Linda, when they put this team together, you talked about this during the week, and you were right on. Colleen's always been a terrific curler. She's always been there. We've talked about her 17 appearances, etc., etc., etc. But when they put this team together, all of a sudden it became just that, a really good team. And as I mentioned, you know, the good teams win, but great teams win when other people think they shouldn't. And this is one of those teams. And you watch them play and you think, gee, how did they win that? They win it because when Colleen in particular, but the whole team, not just Colleen, I shouldn't say.
The Ford World Curling Championship trophy, which will go to the winner of this year's championship here in Bismarck, North Dakota, at the Civic Center.
Good win.
Tied 1-1 as we go to 5. Scotland with the hammer.
Good on it.
The play is really dictated by that first lead stone. Nancy Delahunt putting the rock right on the button.
Colleen's came up
And Jackie Lockhart does not want to ignore it.
Yep, hard.
These player profiles are brought to you by Nova Scotia, Canada's seacoast.
Hard, girl. Hard.
Next year, of course, we will be in Halifax.
Okay, see if they throw something. Corner, what else are they going to do? In, I guess.
Yep. 2-8, 2-5. I don't care.
Anne is looking for work presently. She had to leave her current or her previous employment so she could come to the Worlds. Said she wasn't going to miss it. I'm leaving. Can I have time off? No, she said, I'm going. So when she gets home, she's going to be looking for work.
Dig.
It's not easy to take a lot of time off.
Sorry.
Sometimes it is hard to find
Yeah,
an
very
employer that would allow it. So
Very
Or
tough.
thanks to
short
all
and
those
tight.
employers that have allowed the Canadian players
I like that.
time
It's a
off
good way
to
to force them.
compete,
Yep.
to train.
And you know, that's one of the things that we're very conscious of, and we appreciate that, and I'm glad you mentioned it. We try to mention every employer when we have the opportunity because they are helping the sport and the people that play the game, like the Advanced Wellness Center, where Marianne is employed.
Wait there.
Hurry line. Hard line.
Scotland Stone came up short. They actually called it into the house, and Colleen decided to try the come around.
Hurry, 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 hurry.
Now they're going to be in danger of punching it up, and they do.
Curl a lot there too, don't they?
Yeah.
Marianne just has been struggling in so many ways, just little ways, you know, and you just don't expect it from her.
I don't know.
Catriona works for Land Rover.
Should be on his own.
I need a little bit.
No, it's fine.
Steady.
It's fine. It's fine. It's
T. 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 It's T, Jake.
It's okay, Kat.
Good cat. Got it, Jake. That's okay. Good. It's a little flip, Marianne. Barry half.
Chance to maybe get out of this little situation that's developed if it'll get the roll behind the guard.
regular. Little less.
Close.
Little less.
Yep. Hurry!
Right behind that guy. Okay.
And right in behind that guy. Middle set for second shot, though.
Still a nice chance here for Scotland. I want to use the telestrator before it seizes up.
It has been wide open.
How's that for a right turn?
That's a good, that's an arrow for you too. I like
Well,
that.
the wrist is frozen.
Oh, it's piped up.
Stay with it.
Come the other way.
I said this actually was a touch tricky. You know?
This one has caught something. Look at the handle. It's dead straight.
Laird and Swan, and they're not going to be able to do anything with this.
That's a bad break.
It's all right.
Well, after what they call the 3 flyaways to start the season in Australia, Malaysia, and Brazil, Formula One is back in Europe. San Marino in qualifying, 7 a.m. Eastern, Saturday morning.
Hard, never leave it. Hard.
Hurry up.
Hard, guys. Real hard.
Get her out. Shot him.
Very nice. Get the
That
stone
is
at the back as well.
Good sweep.
So the Canadians are lying one, but there are stones in front to be used.
Is it fun?
Yep.
Good farm.
Whoa. Lady wait.
Sheila Swan is in a similar position like as you are at Curl BC, Linda.
Other way.
She's in the curling development side with the Scottish Curling Federation.
Wait, Cam.
Yeah.
Looks after coaches and seminars, that kind of thing.
curl much.
No.
Okay.
And we talked about Scotland not having won a world championship, a women's world championship.
Same
Vic, they
way.
also have struggled a little bit with development, and it's a country with
More,
a number
I
of
think.
facilities, so it's a bit
Might
of a
be little
surprise.
more.
Kim is at the QE2 Medical Center.
Oh, come on up, you bugger.
Yeah, it's just a little more weight.
Kim,
Sit.
that's not like you.
Sit. Good.
Wait, I had more the second time. Go around, Jake. You took it as a side one in?
Yep. Yep. That'll be mine from Hogland.
This is a very defensive call here. When you have the last rock, you could
Yeah.
certainly go in behind the guard, the long guard, or your own guard.
This surprises me with the stones out front. I understood when she wanted to keep it simple and bring her stones into the house, but as soon as you have something out in front, why not use it?
Better stick here. You'll give Canada a chance to go around that.
You get the roll either way. Yeah, with the finish.
Try and get the roll across behind the guard.
That's snug on the ice.
There, the old wrist is back in shape.
Yeah, I think I was going to say you're in fine squiggle form. Scotland with the hammer in this 1-1 tie.
Good, that was unfortunate because that was a good idea. That could have been setting up for a two,
weight was
but
good.
Cats pick up, eh?
Colleen Jones' record lifetime against Scotland, 3 wins, 2 losses. One of those losses coming this week in round robin. Colleen, who works for CBC and is one of the co-hosts doing the weather and the sports for CBC Morning.
Okay. I guess it won't finish.
Gotta make sure you get it first.
Good.
In a bit. In a bit.
I don't know why.
Jackie's going to go with the other turn and take about a little over a foot of ice. You'll see the brush in a moment. About 14, 16 inches of ice.
Pardon?
See if she can get the roll off of this in behind the guard. Set up the possibility of scoring 2. This is one of those 2-on-1 situations. If you get the roll, you could maybe force Colleen into a more difficult shot. Try and get your 2 points.
Clean actually, because it still feels a little bit gritty out
Ray
there.
suggested earlier, Lindy, you might ignore one at the back. You can't ignore this one and go around, or?
Oh, sure you could. She made me feel that she can get there better with the roll, but definitely you could ignore it, Vic. You saw Jackie stop on her way down, and they already had that red stone in front catch something, and she's concerned about the bits on the ice.
Jackie works for Shell Exploration, and her record lifetime as a skip against Canada, 2-0. She beat Connie Lalaberty, and then she also beat Colleen Jones this week. No roll.
Okay.
Go swipe, girls.
5 lines. Good there.
The intern looks like the sensible way to come at that,
All right, we're
Fine.
nearly midway through this. We're in a 1-1 tie. We haven't seen the least bit of aggressiveness from both sides. Linda, why?
We don't have last draw.
I actually, as I said before, I think Scotland showed us a little bit. They put up a guard when they hit and stuck in 2, and so in the third end they put up a front stone. Other than that, we haven't seen much, Vic, and I think Colleen feels she can run up and down and win this game in an open style, and Jackie doesn't want to take any chances. She had a good chance this end, and in fairness, the Rock caught something when they were setting up the deuce.
Is it 2 teams
It's
that
just,
are playing not to lose rather than to win?
No. Well, I mean, you could end up analyzing it that way. It's the style they've played all week. These 2 teams play this style of game. They play it wide open. They wait for their breaks. And
Way over, Marianne. All the way over. Keep going, keep going.
Yeah, where will this one stop? A little bit more, and it'll duck behind. Not quite. It'll sit top 4, though.
We weren't going to stop behind that one, though, so. Darn hole.
God, the rolls are hard.
it's almost a
I knew it
great
wasn't
roll,
gonna
though.
stop behind that
No,
one. I
that's
knew
what
it
we
didn't have a
figured too.
hole.
We go, okay, sweep her hard, see where it goes.
Rolls are hard.
Marianne ready on the brush to try and get the stone to roll all the way over, not quite able to do it.
It's only about a foot away from being absolutely perfect.
Good fun.
Jackie's out turn.
Final stone, looking for the blank here in 5.
Yep. Hurry, yep. Hurry.
Big
Quick,
scrub.
girls, hard. Yep.
Try to hold the line now.
Fine,
Roll it
Jake.
out. No, they will not. It'll stop T-line, edge of the 4. Scotland again forced to take 1 here in 5. In a wide open and very quick game so far. We'll go to the break. Scotland with a 2-1 lead over Canada. We are in the capital of North Dakota, Bismarck. Midway through this women's semifinal of the Ford World, Scotland with a 2-1 lead over Canada. Next year, the Ford Worlds will be in Winnipeg, and Ivan Zaper is the president of the organizing committee, past president of the Canadian Curling Association. It's just can't get rid of you, can you? You always have to stay involved with the game.
Love the game, Vic. Anything I can do.
Well, and it's nice to be going back to Winnipeg. What do you have in store for us?
Well, we expect to have a wonderful 9 days. Our theme for the Ford World Curling Championships is where the world is one, and a play on the word, of course, one, with the competition and the uniqueness of the community, and the tag along with that is where the world has fun, and people will have a lot of fun in Winnipeg next year.
Yeah, the Winnipeg Arena, we've been there before. Of course, the World's last held, what, 91 you were saying, and then there was a Brier in between, and now going back. And I think what it says, and makes it easy for people from both northwestern Ontario, that Thunder Bay region, and right across the prairies, you'll have a good draw there.
We hope to. We hope to. We're projecting the lower bowl seats about close to 10,000, and we would hope that on a daily basis, regularly 7,500, 8,000, and building to a sellout for the weekend.
So, Ivan, always nice to see you, sir, and we're glad that you're still involved with the game.
Thanks very much, Vic.
The Ford Worlds to be held next year in Winnipeg. We thank everybody here in Bismarck for a wonderful week and a job well done. Winnipeg Arena, there are the dates, April 5th through the 13th of next year. The number to call. The Ford Worlds are going to Winnipeg. Before we start the 6th, let's check the numbers after 5, brought to you by True Value.
One thing that happens when you have wide open play is the execution is a little easier, the degree of difficulty not there, and that's why you see big numbers for both teams. And I talked about the matchup at third before the game started, and both thirds are at 88%. So far no big problems, but no chances taken either.
Well, maybe some chances this end.
Yep.
Canada with the hammer, trailing 2-1 in the 6th. First stone, though, Ray, from the Scots was thrown through.
She actually wanted it in the top 12 footer, just short of the rings, and it went through the rings. So Colleen has thrown up a corner guard, so perhaps she can generate some offense.
High's fine. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Jackie is going to defend against it by trying to get around it. The other option, of course, would be play a center line guard yourself.
Doesn't bury that one as it sits
Nance,
top
I think
12.
you can throw regular and stick a hand over here.
The Canadian lead, Nancy Delahunt. And Nancy wanted to say hello to a couple of her nephews in Halifax.
Whoa!
John and Michael, who are 10 years old today. So happy birthday.
Whoa, Mary. Whoa. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Sorry. Good.
Exactly what Colleen wanted. She wanted to roll away. Felt it was a little too tight, I guess, to play the roll the other way. Play with a little less weight, of course, but there was a roll to the behind the corner as well. They're available, I think.
She's hoping for a roll out, or at least a long roll over to the other side, so that then Canada can use the corner.
A little bit down to normal.
Catriona Fairweather.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's good. It's okay. Okay, fine.
Well, that's what she planned, and that's what she got. Now a chance to go behind the corner.
Well, it is the 6th end. Hers didn't come either, this girl. She threw it this girl.
Marianne Way with her in-turn around the corner guard. Chance to sink one here. Set up a potential 2.
Yep. Little reference from Kim Kelly that it's in the 6th end, and sometimes we do see the ice start to straighten in the second half of the game, and that's why they start to tighten the broom on all these come-around calls.
Oh boy. Doesn't sit in time and just slides out the back.
I got a 45. They're going to peel the front.
What was mine? What was mine?
Okay.
295.
You hear two different different intervals being used. The Scottish team using the first tee line to first hog line interval for brushing, and that's why you're hearing so many different kinds of numbers out there. But they're all relating to the same speed.
End it now?
It's bending as much as it was earlier. No. We'll have to watch it. It's maybe going to change again.
In today's earlier semi-final, Sweden and Margareta Sigfridsson, in her first appearance at the World Championships, has made it all the way through to the final as she beats the former two-time world champion Norway's Dorte Nordby. So Sigfridsson will play the winner of this one.
Really, really unusual. I don't know what happened to that. She turned it inside, obviously, because it went out of her hand.
What are we doing? Bumping.
But to see Marianne Way struggle like this is really something we're not used to seeing, Linda.
No, she was ranked 9th amongst the seconds, but her last two games were actually very good. 83% in the tiebreaker and 86% in the last game of round robin play. So I thought maybe she was coming back after struggling during the week.
She's struggling today. Just seems to have no feel. Doesn't seem to.
All the way. That girl's hurt. Come on.
Because the worst thing about that is she chipped off the corner guard, so this will now be an open end. And the Scotland line too is going to force Canada to take a single. You're running out of ends to generate points. Maybe a roll behind the 12-foot stone is possible here by Kim Kelly.
And that's the danger, Linda, isn't it? You know, you go in with a mindset, we're going to play it open, and then you turn around and you look at the board and you go, whoa, we're in the 8th and we haven't done anything.
And Ray and I talk about this a lot, because not only is it getting tougher and tougher to generate points, but if you make one mistake and you've kept it close, you have so few ends left to try and regroup and get the points back.
Interesting, Colleen has just walked away from the house and is chatting with Marianne Way just a little bit.
Through and away.
Maybe just trying to settle her down. Scottish third, Sheila Swan.
Hurry! Quicker! Watch your back one, Jax!
Watch your back one, Jake.
Looking for the jam on the back and just by, but they do roll out.
Away.
I guess we just hit that.
4 teams through and clear in men's play. No tiebreakers. Scotland finishing first, and they'll play the gold medal winner of Salt Lake, Paul Trulson, Oryx Smith, while Canada will go against the U.S. and Paul Pustavor from Madison. And we'll have that semifinal for you Saturday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, from here in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Regular! Whoa. No.
No!
No!
These two teams really are trading chances. Scotland with the rollout, hand it back to Canada, and a chance for Colleen to blank.
Yep.
Make sure you clean, girls, because
There's lots of
again,
crap.
it's still
Dirty.
Watch the back one.
Yep.
Yeah, that stone just sitting outside the rings, back of the 12, is the possible jam that Jackie Lockhart is worried about as she throws her first here in the 6th. 2-1, Scotland leading. Canada with the hammer.
Back one. Head up. Fine. Good. Cheers, Annie. Good.
Colleen Jones in a tiebreaker. Well, a tie-breaking team has never won the championship. Tie-breaking teams have made it to the final twice before. And as Linda mentioned, one of those tiebreaker teams that made it to the final, of course, was 1985, the year that Linda won her championship, beating Scotland.
On the nose.
And Jackie Lockhart, of course, was the second on that team, skipped by Isabel Torrance Hannon, who is now the coach of the team.
Whoa. Yeah. Yep. Whoa. Hurry.
Yeah, I
Nice
like
shot.
rolling over there a little, man. You know what, though? You can get the jam just about anywhere. Nice throw, Colleen. Firm.
Well, there was a few times that the tiebreaker team did make it to the finals, and actually, Vic, in 1979 there was 2 tiebreakers, and one of the winners of those tiebreakers did win the whole thing. That was Gabby Casanova. But interestingly enough, the last time they made it through to the final was in 1985, and it was Jackie when she was playing for Isabel Torrance. And they made it through to the final and then lost to us. But it's surprising that in all the years since that a tiebreaker team has not made it to the final. Does that mean a little destiny now for Colleen?
Yep, girls, all the way. Yep. Good shot.
Fine, Jake.
Avoids the
That's
jam.
it, girls. Good job.
And so Canada now will look for the blank here in 6. And this is something they've got to have, and I would think.
Nice,
I mean, this is not a time to hit it on the beak and take a single here. You need the blank.
I agree.
And that is one thing that they've actually struggled with, but a lot of teams have struggled with this week, is the attempted blanks that have not worked. And part of it is the ice is straight, so you take a little bit of ice. You don't want to take too much ice, Ray, because you could actually go right by it, and then you end up with the ice to stick.
This is not an easy blank, though, Linda, because you have to be careful not to jam it on the back one and roll out. So she's playing the outside in.
The safer one would be the inside out,
You're staying pretty straight, Harry Kim.
to ensure that you didn't jam. A longer way for, of course, the shooter to roll to get the blank.
Pardon me?
Keep your firm.
Yeah, I will.
No. Whoa.
Colleen Jones and the Canadians looking for the blank here in 6.
Such a hard way to blank.
And they will not get it. Canada forced to take one. Will that cost them? Scotland will have the hammer when we come back.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you by Nokia, proud sponsor of the Nokia Briar, by Karcher, quality cleaning equipment, and by Ford. Ford of Canada supports the love of the sport and the drive to achieve.
Didn't look this way around 5 o'clock Eastern time today in Augusta. Boy, heavy rains washing out the later part of the round, so they'll complete it on Saturday, second round. Vijay Singh is your leader, and we'll have our pre-game or pre-round coverage for you beginning Saturday afternoon here on TSN. As we go to the 7th in a 2-2 tie.
Yep.
Scotland with the hammer.
Hard.
The winner of this women's semifinal will play Sweden for the Ford World Curling Championship
Hurry.
on Saturday.
Well, if you remember the 2nd, 4th, and 6th end, that's exactly what we're having in this end.
Only one end so far has a team really tried to take the point, and that was Colleen Jones drawing against 2 in the 3rd end.
In fairness to Colleen, she threw up the corner guard the last end when she got the rollout, and unfortunately Marianne Way chipped it off, so that's ended that possibility of generating an extra point. And that was a tough rollout. She had to roll right across the rings.
All the way.
The women's teams don't possess the big weight, and
Hi, girl.
Since 1979,
I think they would.
the lowest scoring semifinal, 1981. Sweden, Norway was Hagström and Backa. 4-2 Sweden winning that year. And here we're tied 2-2.
Point is firm is firm.
Yep. Hurry. Hurry, hurry.
Shot. Like not even a freeze. Like just.
I know. Canada's surprised with the stones behind the tee line that Scotland's not trying something different.
So Linda, at this point in time, if you're the Canadians, you haven't got the hammer. You see the Scots not trying anything. Quite content, it would seem, to maybe want to run this right through. What do you do as Canadians to try and get that hammer back?
I win the bet, Linda, because I said he wouldn't mention that until about the sixth end. That's what.
Did you really?
Yeah, because you always, that's what you say all the time is, well, do you think they're going to run this one right through
Well,
to the 10?
I mean, they're not doing anything.
Yeah,
right?
no, I agree. I mean, it's hard to think they're not trying to do that. You know, I agree. I just thought it was kind of neat because I talked about it.
At this point, Vic, I'm not sure who has the advantage in this style game. We said going into it, we thought Colleen, but in fairness to Jackie Lockhart, the Canadians have made a few more errors and had more rollouts. And so if she's feeling that, maybe she doesn't feel she has to take a big chance and get her deuce.
Up way,
But I mean,
up way.
if you're Canada, aren't you just a little worried here? Don't you need that last rock back?
And I think they believe they're going to get it on a blank attempt that won't work. That's what it appears to me.
All right, Rick,
The one thing this does for sure, Victor, it eliminates any discussion that we may have about the 3 rock and 4 rock rule.
Yeah.
They're not using any of them.
Hard. Hurry hard. Never leave it. Right up, guys.
And you also
right
have to
up.
remember, Vic, that we often say that we think Colleen should be more aggressive. I'm the first to say that. But last year at the World Championship, she won that championship by people not putting rocks in play and allowing her to play the hit game.
I would be surprised if Scotland's waiting for the wide open miss if they get it, because this team just hasn't done that in the past. Now, Marianne Way has been struggling a little bit, but she has a way of getting it all together too when you get to those 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th ends. Played very well this morning.
Clear slide.
Made a great shot in 10.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Unbelievable. Yeah, firm.
That's the only way you can change that, though, Kim, is you got to throw that first one just short of the rings on the center line out in front, and then you're not going to have an end like this. As long as you continue to throw the first rock in the rings to the top of the 4-foot, you know that Jackie's just going to exchange stones. She feels she has the advantage right now, and in essence, I guess she has, Linda, because she has that last rock in her pocket right now.
We've had 2 blanks so far and then traded singles in
Good way.
2 and 3,
Just line.
5 and 6.
Clean.
This clean.
Clean in.
This
Whoa.
clean.
Whoa. That's fine.
Coming up on the next edition of Sports Center. It was really something to watch Arnold Palmer play his final competitive round at the Masters. He says he just can't compete. He doesn't want to play there anymore. Mike Weir had a good day. He's among the leaders. Curtis Joseph back in heavy practice with the Maple Leafs. And the Raptors won again as they continue a march towards the NBA playoff. All coming up on Sports Center at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific.
Great run by the Raptors.
Yeah.
Considering the injuries and everything, unbelievable.
And all without
yeah, without Vince Carter.
Vince Carter.
Yeah.
It's much like your senior team without you. They just, when you're not there, boy, they just go on those runs.
We can go a little more.
All the way in.
Just want to see how much that goes, that 59.
Nice shot, Colleen.
And in she goes, top 8 foot. And I would think, Linda, if you're Canada and what you say is true, you believe that they're not going to be able to get the blank, you want to keep it right around that center line and make them roll as far as you can.
That's
Absolutely.
right. And that means Jackie may be looking for a little roll to the edge.
Firm.
Yep. Whoa. Good firm. Whoa. Light. Yep.
Jackie Lockhart in her first.
Yep, girls, hard. Good. Is that right, Jake?
That may be better on the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe need to catch me, but
She
knows just to hold the rope.
She can't throw her out. On those there before, maybe she's after just.
She had to hit and roll it that way, though, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you like.
We'll go over this side this time. I'll keep it in the 4 foot, but.
So here, or you want it in the 4 foot? So does that look good?
So talking about exactly that, where Jackie Lockhart may have difficulty rolling the shooter out to hold the hammer.
Any guesses where she might nose?
Well, there's a lot. Let me just
She
show
doesn't
you,
know that she
Vic.
has to
There's a
hold
lot of
her
places you could
now.
put this.
She can't throw her last draw.
What?
She hit and rolled out.
Yeah. Oh.
You could put it
I
here.
know.
You could put it here. You could put it here. You could put it here. I just wanted to practice
How
with my
would you?
illustrator.
But the one in the middle is the one she's chosen.
And also, I mean, you would think, Linda, putting it right on the
Right
on
up,
the lid,
T-line if you can.
maybe top 4 foot might be the best spot in terms of distance to roll.
Top
But she's
four is
also
good
trying to
too.
bring
We're there.
ice into
That's
this,
good.
isn't she?
Oh, no, we're not.
That's right.
Anywhere
There are
there's
some
good.
spots
That's
on the
fine.
edge of the 4. It's actually a little easier to blank because of how straight it goes.
Nice
So
time.
this is what they're playing for.
Nice time to have a draw, though,
It is.
just to reassure yourself that you know the feeling.
Time for the hit and roll.
So you say it's tricky right down the edge of the 4, do you?
Well, it has been not as much, Vic, this game or all day today down that line, but she wants the roll out here.
What it does do is often plant a little bit of doubt about how straight it'll run, and as I say, you tighten the broom, the next thing you know, it's not enough ice for the rollout.
Laird and Fairweather going to get it? No, they won't. Boy. Another missed chance by Lockhart and the Scots, and the Canadians will get the hammer back, down by 1. 3-2 Scotland.
Put all 8 rocks in play.
Okay, Colleen, what are we going to do now?
Oh, yeah, they didn't know how much.
Earlier today in the other semi-final, the Swedish team skipped by Margareta Sigurdsson with Maria Engholm throwing the 4th stone. Nice brushing from Jornlind and Lindholm. They'll get away with the jam at the back to score 2 in 10 for a 7-6 win over Norway and the 2-time world champion Dordi Nordby. So Sweden, this team is into the final, and they await the winner, Scotland-Canada. Sigurdsson in her first appearance at the World Championships.
A little bit.
So Canada playing for the hit and stick, and they got it, and now they have the hammer. And
Well, interesting enough, Jackie Lockhart actually asked for that rock out in front of the rings, the red stone, which was just removed, and it slipped into the rings, and Colleen hit it. But it looked like she was maybe going to try to steal a point in this all-important 8th end. She's up 1, but with the rock slipping in, Colleen hit it, and I think when she gets it away from the 4 foot, she'll probably play a corner guard. But
We'll get to the wing. We'll get to the wing. Don't worry, Kimmy. We'll get there.
obviously, while they're in the 4 foot, they're not. She's not going to try the corner.
player comparisons brought to you by Nokia.
Typical great numbers for Nancy Delahunt. I mentioned that Anne's a very good lead. Now, we have seen a couple of those draws. You saw that percentage. one through, and we saw the last one that was supposed to be short come in. So that is the one thing she has struggled with today.
Firm.
And that definitely does change the complexity of the game. If your lead is not getting those front stones, granted, they've only been called a couple of times, but in those couple of attempts, if they come in or sail through, that really changes your end as a team.
Yep. Good. Shortcut.
And very surprising, Marianne Way, with those numbers that we maybe saw halfway through the week, 68%, and look at that draw percentage. Really being outcurled at the moment.
Yep. Yep. Hurry, 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 hurry. A little bit of a roll. Same again. Firm.
Catriona Fairweather.
Yep. Hold the base. Whoa. Whoa. Yep. Yeah.
And really a good crowd here at the Civic Center. One of the better crowds we've seen all week. Has had nothing to get excited about.
And one thing we can guarantee the crowd is these two teams will not run out of time.
No.
They have so much
very,
time on the
very
time clock. If it's a little complicated in 9 and 10, do not panic.
Very quick. Up and down the sheet.
Come on up.
Marianne unable to hold the shooter.
Just calling it out front, Kim.
What was mine? Three.
We talk about this team, though, coming through in the crunch, and you never know, Marianne may make that key shot, as she did in a tiebreaker earlier today. Made a great double peel.
Sheila Swan.
Save itself. Save itself. Solve the load. Back. Back. Back.
No, no, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it.
T. Good, Sheila.
Came a little deeper than she indicated, didn't it?
What did you get? 8-5?
Yeah, she wanted it tight to the rings, just on the top 12 foot.
Turn. Whoa. Yep. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Yeah, yeah. Whoa.
As we get near the end of the game, if it does get complicated, that is when we expect Canada to have the edge, because Sheila and the rest of this Scottish team, other than the skiff, have not been in this position before.
And if it comes down to a draw, because of Colleen throwing maybe a couple more, is that an advantage then?
It could be, Vic, as we see the numbers for Kim Kelly at 91%. She's played 13 hits, so that is pretty unusual at that position, and Sheila's played 11.
I thought maybe Colleen made it pretty late in the end. I agree to throw up the corner, but I thought maybe she might throw a tight corner, one that might be able to be split on or something. But no, she wants it in the rings in the 12 foot. 8 foot, 12 foot. She asked for it. That's where Kim's going to put it. She could nose hit here. Maybe she could freeze up to it.
Linda, do you?
Put off this one.
You want to keep your team in a game. I mean, I'm thinking about other sports. And when you play this kind of game right now, your team, for some reason, seems to me isn't mentally involved enough, maybe isn't thinking, and I'm just wondering if that is a potential problem for the Canadians and the Scots, because they're both playing the same way.
Well, it could be, Vic. Colleen, as you mentioned, has had a chance to play a couple of open draws, but nobody's been pushed to make a big shot, and if it comes down to a 10th end huge shot required, they may not have had the focus to be able to execute it as well.
Quick, girls, up hard. Right up. Good, good. Good,
Oh,
Jake.
hangs it right on the edge.
Can we freeze? No, I guess we're freezing.
And there's the numbers for Colleen. Perfect on her draws. And Jackie only with the one draw, and that's what Vic has referred to. Will that be a costly problem for her at the end of the game? And lo and behold, Ray playing a freeze.
I'm in 2 and a 9. You guys rather go for the 2 and a 9, or are you
I like
happy?
this.
I thought she may have just heads up.
Kim Kelly and Marianne Way agree with the call, so they'll play for the freeze. It surprises Jackie Lockhart that Canada doesn't play for the blank and take the hammer to 9.
Right.
3-2 to back there.
So let's see now if the 4 draws help her here.
Okay, 3-2 will work too.
Well, anywhere down in front of it, and she can still get the blank out of the end, Vic.
Line's good. Right to it, guys.
Making a little move to try and get a second point here. She gets down
Line's
frozen
great.
on the
Make sure
face of
you're
it.
here.
Force Jackie to throw a bigger weight
Make
shot.
sure you're here. Line's gonna be fine. Make sure you're here.
A lot of room, lot of room.
Just make sure you're here, guys.
We're there. A lot of room, Nance.
A lot of room and a lot of weight as well.
Sits there for shot.
Skipper. Oh, sorry.
That was brushed incorrectly.
Yeah, they had to be leaving that.
Comes back to what I said to you just a moment ago. Your team isn't in the game. You haven't judged a lot of stones. Now you're called upon to make that judgment.
Yeah.
You're kind of giving us a couple of lectures today.
Let me make a note of that.
Boy, he's finishing the season strong, isn't he?
He is. What about tomorrow? My goodness.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to turn up.
Yep. Take the bet. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Take the bet. Yep.
Give a guy a needle and thread, you know.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good shot. Fine, Jake.
Fine.
Fine.
That's fine.
All right. Didn't pull as much as the first one.
Yeah.
Just the 2 blips, really. Sweden and the last round robin game against Switzerland. But with those scores, Linda, it's hard to imagine Jackie Lockhart playing this way, but is that what you suggest? She's been maybe more wide open and then taking her chances only when they presented themselves, the opportunity?
Well, I think you saw a lot of scores actually that were quite close. Yes,
I'm
higher in score, but quite often she will play it open and wait for chances. And during round robin play, just got a few more chances than she's getting against Colleen Jones. Not many wide open misses in this game.
Colleen forced to play that biter back edge of the 12 for the blank here in the 8.
Looking for the blank hand, as Victor says, trying to get rolled out of here.
Yeah, I think you still got it. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. And you can hear the murmur in the crowd. I mean, they are stunned, surprised.
That's fine.
Canada forced to take 1.
Through corner.
San.
A reminder, coming up on Saturday, you'll be able to see a preview to the completed second round and third rounds of the Masters, and then a reminder that You can see coverage of the third round, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday night, following our coverage of the men's semifinal, Canada and the U.S. from here in Bismarck. 3-3 as we go to 9, and the Scots have the hammer back.
Well, the first rock, we heard the Canadian team talk about it in the break, and they decided to play it open again. They threw the first rock into the rings, and Jackie has now decided to play the corner guard, so she's going to try and get her deuce here.
Hurry! Hurry!
It's what she called for, was a corner guard. You can see the rock in the 12, in the 8 foot on the center line. Canada is now going to guard. I believe she's called a guard.
It's got the crowd stirring a little bit.
Well, 2 thrown, 2 in play. We haven't seen that.
Nancy Delahunt.
Lot of room. Get it to center, you guys.
Yep.
Get it to center.
Yes, hard.
Halfway to center.
Hard till it stops. Hard.
Whoa, whoa, you got lots of weight there. Easy.
Don't wanna
Hard,
hit
hard,
her, no, right?
easy.
We're
That's
good.
enough. I don't want to hit and roll on.
We're good. They can't.
Now, I don't know if we should.
Well, we talked about the fact, Vic's mentioned the fact that there was a record 3 blanks previously in a semifinal. We've only had 2 blank ends in this game, but don't forget, 7 of the 8 ends people tried to blank. There was only 1 end so far, the third end, where Colleen Jones was forced to a single because there was 2 opponents' rocks in the house. 7 of the 8 times they tried to blank, only 2 were successful.
Needs to come across. That's what I need it, Jax. Yep. Yep. Maybe we should have just played simple and played for a hit and roll out and get last stone. It's okay.
Hit and stay right there is okay too.
During round robin play, Canada took the deuce to tie it in 9, and Scotland had the hammer coming home. And it was a great shot in 10 that Scotland won with, and that's why when you just heard Jackie Lockhart talking, I was surprised that she put the corner guard up this end. After all the ends of waiting and waiting, I thought she would want to try and keep the hammer coming home, try for the blank again with the first stone for Canada coming in. And the other thing, Ray, that we've talked about during this game is as the ends progress, the ice does get a tiny bit straighter, and it is a little harder to bury around your corner guards.
Well, it's what we talk about all year long, actually, is that if you're going to, when you do have the hammer and you decided to be a little aggressive, we think that it's better to do that in the earlier ends or early part of the game and try and get yourself a little bit of a lead.
Catriona Fairweather trying to run it right back.
Whoa. Other way. Whoa. That's all right. It's okay.
John Wells, Kim Gillard-Griffin, Paul Savage will be your hosts for the Whirlpool Battle of the Sexes, 7 Eastern Time, 4 Pacific, Saturday night. $20,000 in total prize money available just prior to our coverage of the men's semifinal, Canada and the U.S. at 8 Eastern Time.
Time for a huddle.
I really believe she's going to be playing high defense here. If we put a rock in there, if we were to go deep, or if we don't bury perfectly, and she hits and rolls behind that, like what? Wait a minute, what is the harm? Because anything
they're going to get in first.
No,
they'll just come around.
They'll just come
Why
around.
did she just play that shot? Why
Well,
didn't she come
they were
around there?
tight. She was trying to make the double.
But
We
if
throw a
we
long guard in
cover
front of that,
she's
I'm
coming right
sure
around
she'll
it.
come around.
You know what's the other
And
option,
then can't we
Skipper?
come
To
around?
bump?
Well, if she
if
comes
she's
top 4,
we're
like
in
first in is kind of the best.
I like going for the throat. And if not, this one, we can even bump up the one I just put there.
Well, I think she's gonna
Tougher
put-
I kind
shot.
of like to leave
Tougher
that one
shot.
there because we can use it if she does happen to smash that one
Right.
back behind it or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
So come around on the out turn.
Love the
I like
out
I'm
turn.
just
Come
afraid that she's gonna play that smash back that she's not gonna follow. She's gonna play the smash back and then.
Oh, she'll probably try
Does
to.
that really hurt us though?
Well, if we go out front,
She's
I
going to
think
make a
she still
smash back
smashed it.
double. I think out front's a bit suicidal potentially myself. That's just what I think.
I think
she's going to come right in and she goes top
You know,
four.
if she was starting to peel out front.
So why did she hit that time?
Well, they were so tight. She thought she could get the double, and
If we put something else out there, she's going to abandon that.
Yeah, that wasn't a suitable come around. It was such a
I
tight
don't know. She's
guard.
played defense all game. I mean, I don't know why that
was
would
a
change.
tight center
All right.
yellow
Okay.
rock.
But she put the corner guard up for the
Yeah,
first time.
yeah, no, I know that.
Well, I think they decided to come around this one, Linda. I think that was the final decision.
No time like the present.
I think this is a good call.
I would not be guarding.
No, I would not be guarding either. I mean, Colleen's original first comment was she's really thinking defense. Well, she wasn't thinking defense, or she wouldn't have thrown the corner up.
Marianne Way, whose comment was, I think we should go for the throat.
Slots.
It's okay, it's okay.
Close for lines coming down. Yep, hard. Quick. Hurry. Hurry hard. Hurry, hurry, hurry. We've lost it. Hard all the way. Hard.
Okay, sorry.
Thinner the better.
That's fine.
Nice weight.
Sorry, Marianne.
Nice weight.
Let's go back to the round robin game between these two teams. It was Scotland with the hammer coming home, but it was a mess. Canada got a good rock and a good spot in the forefoot, and look at this shot by Jackie Lockhart right by the front one, and that is the win. Tremendous shot under a great deal of pressure for Jackie, and that's why I thought she might want to hold the hammer coming home with thoughts of what had happened in round robin play.
Playing the run back on the red one. That was a nice chance for Marianne to get around there. The weight was pretty close. It just took off on maybe a touch light.
Good weight. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa.
Just playing it back with control weight.
Whoa, whoa.
And it's running.
It sat right on that.
All right.
Can we come around on the intern
Or
maybe,
bump. Center line bump.
center guard? Would you like the center
Well,
guard?
congratulations to Ann Dunn and her team of Lindy Marchuk, Gloria Campbell, Carol Thompson, and Fran Todd. They have won the senior. They have won the World Senior
like the
Curling
guard,
Championship.
Colleen?
They'd be a good friend of yours, Switzerland, Erica Mueller.
A very competitive field in that senior championship. Congratulations, Anne.
How much weight does she have?
Right up hard, guys. Right to center.
Try
Right
get
to
that
center.
Hard all the way.
Right to center.
Hurry hard.
Hurry, guys.
Yeah,
hurry,
hurry,
hurry, hurry. Really important. Get it to center. Really, 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 really
Hard all
important.
the way. Hard. Hard, 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 hard.
They're leaving a little opening.
Yeah, that's. She had to get that across.
Okay, I don't like that guard.
Across the center line.
Firm.
It's a great chance for Scotland now.
Firm. Okay. You only just need to catch it. Okay.
Playing the double, I guess.
I'm surprised. I thought
Yeah.
she just
Okay.
hit shot rock and roll.
Playing off of this one here, onto this one here. I thought she'd play the hit and roll too, Linda. I almost had it drawn in there. Kicked me in the back of the leg.
Sheila Swan.
Well, after a whole game of blanks, this end is just so surprising.
Double is there, though. There's no question about that.
Off one and across the face
Hard line.
and into the open.
Guess I gotta play hit and roll, eh, guys?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
It's a very tough double to call. You're playing a turn that's really tough to begin with, and it was a
Just wanna guard
steep
that?
angle.
No.
I like the hit and roll.
Well, we're still giving them this, you guys.
Hit and roll.
No, hit and roll.
We don't want to give them two, right?
Yeah, crowd is calling the game for her.
Yeah.
Firm.
Yeah, keep your weight up.
Regular. Hard. Hard. Whoa.
Whoa!
Whoa.
No!
Close. Yeah.
Yeah!
they've lost it. It'll hang around, though, back edge of the 8.
Just a little bit of a brushing problem. That was a good thrown, well thrown shot by Kim Kelly, and with some brushing they could have held that and got a great roll to the forefoot. Changed the end right around. They just didn't get on it for a long time. Left it, then it broke a bit at the end. If it stops there, it's great. There, it's great. But unfortunately, it rolls into the open.
Ray, Linda, we also want to congratulate the Canadian men's seniors team of Ron Westcott, Ray Fillion, Ray McDougall, and Brian Copeland. They won the silver medal in the senior men's final today, losing to the U.S. So a great job by the Canadian seniors teams. A gold and silver medal here in Bismarck.
Yep. Yeah. Easy. Quick. Yep. Whoa. Yep.
Roll it the other way.
All right.
Hard lines. Fine there.
Shot
hit and
stone
roll
is
is
the
there.
Canadian stone.
Or the straight come around. I mean, we'd be
Yeah,
sitting
this rock's
two, but
pretty
it might
hard
give
to
it a
access,
double.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, unless we set up for a double somehow.
Yeah, I kind of like coming in, Colleen. Although she'll probably, if we don't get forfeit, she's just going to bump that up, and
Yeah.
then we're in a pickle. Yeah, I think that'll come.
Yeah.
The yellow stone at the back, which is the Canadian stone, is the shot rock, as you can saw from our overhead. But she's going to play the hit, hit and roll.
No, but
Try and hit this and
no, it's
just
an easy bump. It's an easy
roll
even a split.
over here.
I wonder if we should try that first, because this looks a little tricky. Even if you get the roll nice, it may jam at the back.
You looking at the bum?
You could bump the side guy behind the center
No,
guy.
I'd rather not bump. I'd rather a hit and roll or a straight come around. But the problem with a straight come around is you could potentially leave a double.
Are you looking at this? Not really. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I would like that for my last shot.
I'm just wondering if this is playing with fire a little right here.
It's set up perfect to hit it out and roll behind the guards.
It looks real jammy, doesn't it, for the roll?
No, I got a lot of...
She doesn't like this here, you heard her say.
But I mean, if
the
you're
other
gonna
thought
get
was
the
for
roll
to come this way, around this way
it would
here.
jam, though.
Ditto for the bump. You know, if you don't get the bump perfect.
But the thing is, if you roll, though, you may leave
I like
the back.
roll. I really like the roll.
Okay.
Hit and roll.
Linda, it seems hard to believe that you would
Let's do it.
even think about leaving that Scottish stone where it is in the top of the 8.
Yeah, the team wanted to play the tap on the other side, but I think Colleen feels that this end is going her way and doesn't want to risk a split or a tap on that red one by Scotland.
Hurry! Whoa! Yep, whoa!
Whoa!
Yes! Whoa!
Now jump it over,
Just not finishing the way it did.
and they can. And it will not stop in time out into the open tee line edge of the 8. Canada line 2.
But I'm really surprised with this call. I mean, this is just unbelievable because she put the corner guard up for a reason. And yes, you can get the nice roll behind, that's for sure. But I'm really surprised she's not going around.
Okay, if ever we needed to hit and roll, it's now, girls.
Yeah.
She's got a couple opportunities to go around. She can go this way here, in there, behind this corner guard here, sitting in this area. What she's trying is to play the hit and roll, and she can get the roll behind the 2 yellow. There's no question.
Now the come around looks so nice though around those red stones.
Yep, fam. Whoa, down a bit. Whoa. Down a bit. Yep.
Part of the decision, the lack of draws that she's played, Linda?
Well, it could be Vic, but you may have to make it now or in the 10th.
Sit down.
Sit in time? No, it will not. It'll slip to second shot.
Well, it couldn't be a better situation for Colleen Jones, that's for sure.
Bump up for the come around.
Okay, now what do we want to do? Draw right to the...
You're loath to sweep it too much. You need to hit
In
and
both
roll.
cases, the rock over curled, again taking that skinny ice because of how straight it is, but
long.
getting the extra
if it just
movement
didn't curl as much, you might leave it
and
double
not
that way.
staying for shot.
Although I have a feeling we shouldn't
Does that
say
look like a good hole?
Yeah, she's looking at it.
I'll bump this. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky hole with the late finish. What?
This really
It's a
has
bit
been
of a tricky hole with the late finish.
hasn't it?
Okay.
Golly, that's too much ice. That's way too much ice. To throw a bump?
Those
Not
are the
gonna
two
come
ways
that
to get there.
Now, Linda, do you agree that
Oh,
they...
like this?
Yes, we do.
I could leave it double if I don't, you know, if I were ever to hang it.
Yeah, I like this spot because you've got options, eh?
The come around would be trickier because the ice and the movement is so late. Do you agree with
All
that?
right.
Through the
We're there.
port shot that they talked about is tough because of the placement of the guards. I think the tap is a good
Yeah,
call.
it's-
What's going to be interesting is if Colleen makes this perfectly, if Scotland tries to just give her a single by drawing in for second shot. And that's going to be interesting for me if this is made to the button, what Scotland does.
Line's good. No, line's bad. Oh, a little
Final
wall.
stone for the
Bring it,
Canadians.
whoa.
Scotland has the hammer in this 3-3
Okay,
tie,
Cindy,
playing the
look
ninth.
out.
Get on that. Oh, I'll get on it.
Well, it's just going sideways the
Enough
wrong
in.
way.
Whoa, 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 Nancy.
Nice shot.
And pops it out into the open
As we suspected,
top
too
eight.
much
Well, it was perfect weight. You didn't have to curl very much more. Just another quarter of an inch or so, or
Just didn't
a couple
come.
of inches.
If you throw a little bit more weight, it won't come. Well, we forced her to one. That's no double, I don't think.
Oh, I'll get on.
Sideways the
Enough
wrong way.
in. Whoa, 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 Nancy.
Absolutely perfect
Nice
weight
shot.
by Colleen. That would be just top of the 4-foot.
She's had a great touch today. She's
Yeah,
made
she
a lot
sure
of nice
has.
draws. Now they've talked about her forcing her to take a single, but as I said, if you really wanted to, you could just pick it out.
You take the hammer.
You could if you wanted to. We've seen it done.
Yep.
Talking about that.
Yep. Yep. Honey.
Once you get it going here, remember what they said about the late finish. It's a struggle now for Laird and Fairweather. Big brush to get it by. They do, and it'll sit right there. Jackie Lockhart and the Scots. Great brushing by the front end. They'll have the lead. Canada will have the hammer.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you in part by Husky and Mohawk, leaders in fuel, food, and convenience. By JVC, excite your senses. And by Whirlpool Home Appliances, proudly supporting extraordinary Canadian women athletes and everyday champions across the country.
The key shot is brought to you by Husky and Mohawk, the leaders in fuel, food, and convenience. And you think that Lockhart got away with one here?
I really do. I thought she'd thrown it. She threw it quietly, and she seemed to get it started a little bit, and they got on it right away. Linda, I thought she was all over the guard, so good brushing, obviously.
Great brushing, but she could have played this with extra weight, as I said. It is not terrible to give up the single steal. It is terrible to give up two. Oh, just by.
So Scotland get there 1 in 9. It's 4-3. Scotland leading Canada with the hammer. Stone in front, and the immediate come around by the Canadians as it'll all come down to this 10.
Like they always seem to do.
Well, just wish they would start it up a little earlier.
Well, then you wouldn't have all this excitement, Victor. But you would have a little more to talk about in the middle,
That's right.
ends.
Need a little bit, Jake. Same as the last one. It's going to need a bit. Whoa,
And it struggled a little bit with the draw weight, and now you need that stone anywhere in front of the yellow, preferably close to it.
Dig, dig, dig. Quick.
Fairweather and Swan with the brush.
That's a great shot.
Boy, right down on top.
Nancy Stone just a little too deep. Top 4-foot just a little bit better than that, but it is on the button. It's shot rock.
You like coming this way?
You just don't like to come quite to the button on those kind of shots. You want those middle of the 8-foot. Key shot here again. What great numbers for this lead.
We got room. Line's fine. Weight only.
You got lots of room.
Weight only. Line's great.
Coming now, though. Still have room. Corner freeze. Still have room.
We're
Need to-
there.
Still have room for the corner freeze.
You need to corner freeze on the rock in the
Still have
forefoot.
room.
Yep. Yeah, hard.
Well, what a good shot this is if she gets it on the angle.
Shot, man.
That is a great shot by Nancy.
Men's semifinals set for Saturday. Scotland, Warwick Smith against the Salt Lake gold medal winner, Norway, Paul Trulson in Canada. Will play the U.S., Randy Ferbey, and the team from the Otwell and Edmonton go against Madison, Wisconsin's Paul Pustavar at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And Randy's here along with the rest of the team.
Okay,
On the left is Marcel Rock, Scott Pfeiffer.
My good friend Kay Sugihara up behind. Zivan Saper. David.
David Nedwin.
Yep. Line on. Whoa.
That's a nice shot. But Nancy's first rock came a little too deep. I mean, that's a good shot, but now with the angle she set up, that's a lovely second shot. And a great shot by Scotland as well.
They're already playing the tap, trying to change up the angle.
It's all right. It's okay.
The winner of the game goes on to play Sweden in the women's final.
Yeah, because then they've got to do.
They're in a pickle. Yeah.
Marianne Way.
Gotta go. Yep. Hard.
Tough evening.
Hurry.
Marianne.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Quick. Okay, your way, Nance. Yep, got it. Hard, 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 hard. Good.
That's actually good there. Corner guard, no.
It's okay,
You know.
Kat.
287.
Is it good there? Or would they prefer to roll it right away?
No, it's not. It's not.
It's all right for now.
Yeah.
It's not blocking anything that they need for the moment.
What happened if you hit that in the nose? Fred was got back the side.
They did change
Finish
the
it through some
angle a
cover.
little bit on the red one. She's just going to freeze to the face of it.
Yep. What did you get?
Let it pull.
Wait, it's okay.
Let it pull.
Might need a little bit at
Let
the
it
end.
pull.
Weight's good. Oh, it's on that yellow.
Come on. Come on, pull.
On the yellow, will it pull over? It will not.
It's all right. That's okay, though.
And roll to the center.
Got the guard back.
We gotta
And it
peel it again.
protected
I
at
think
least
so.
the proper side of
Yeah,
the
the right
front
side,
yellow.
exactly.
We could jiggle, although we want to.
You know what? I
feel
feel
again,
again, if we jiggle, we're gonna make them shot,
Yes.
and then they're just gonna throw the guard.
Yeah.
You play the
I
peel.
think let them jiggle. That's what they're
Play
trying
the
to do.
peel again if you want. Then.
Yeah, because
Like the peel again?
I think I do.
Yeah.
Unless you
we
want to
need the
just
front
play
to
hack,
be-
wait, and start.
Well,
moving.
I mean,
Except we would leave them
Do you want to
shot,
go look
right?
at it? Let's go.
Yeah,
look
we
at it.
would. Yeah, we would. We would. We
well,
would.
that's what we were just saying. Yeah.
Although
Gonna
that
leave them.
wouldn't be the end of the world.
Well, then they'd guard.
No, they're gonna guard.
Yeah, that's the end of the world. Yeah.
That's the end of the world.
Reverse.
Oh, in that case, I want to say hello to my kids who are watching. To Alan and Reggie and Janie and.
Yep.
Lori's
Whoa.
got Leanne. All my kids.
That's it.
Okay.
Good save. Very good.
Whoa.
Very good save, sir. Yes, sir. Very nice.
Soon we forget.
Yeah.
Jackie's going to take a moment to talk to her team. And Vic, we talk about the difference in rules at the world level, and this is where maybe a team that has a little less experience misses a timeout where they could bring in a coach.
They lie.
Yeah, unlike the Canadian rules where you get 73 minutes and 2 timeouts,
Covered up there, mate. Huh?
it's all time here, 75 minutes.
And there you do see the difference. Canadian rules down the left, world rules down the right, and the timeout difference is quite big. We know 4-rock rule may be a big difference in this game.
Snugly in there just now. I'm not sure whether to just keep guarding up.
I'm tempted to go for the guard because we've got to have some cover out here.
I know. Right, okay.
Yeah?
Whereabouts though?
Centre line?
The only other thing is you're going to be freezing on the 1 foot.
I like the centre line because if you leave them any other, they're just going to.
They're talking about a guard,
Yeah.
actually.
Centre line guard? Yeah?
Now, where will she put the broom? Because Sheila's rock has to protect the center line side of that yellow stone. Not the right as we're looking at it, but the left-hand corner because of the angle onto red.
Yep.
What Colleen could do then, if she can get at the center line side of the yellow, she can come down and just tap it back, which moves the yellow stone back a bit, leaves the good angle on the yellow onto red. So that's what Jackie's trying to protect against.
Whoa! Did you swing?
Canadians have this game tied. It's just trying to get themselves in a position to get the second point.
Line, get away.
Just line, Jake.
Whoa.
Just line. Just line.
Right off.
Good, Sheila.
Marianne, do you think we should go have a look at these?
As soon as we're done here in Bismarck, Sports Center comes your way. Understand the Raptors won again. Second round of the Masters wasn't completed because of heavy rain.
Ew, the way that's tipped over is tricky.
Yeah, the tip over was nasty.
Do you think she is going to keep guarding?
I'd love it if she jiggled. You know, we don't mind the jiggle at all. If she doesn't, and she's going to jiggle and there'll be no guard out there, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think she's going to keep guarding? See, I'm afraid she's going to smash.
I hope she does.
Jackie's moved right up close so she can listen to what she moved right up. Honestly, she moved right up.
Talking to you.
Not into the house, like not in an area where she can't stand, but she did move right up.
Each trying to second guess each other.
It's all wide open. There's no guards, even if, you know.
So far, they both surprised each other, so a little information might be helpful.
That was cute, and she just kind of her ears perked up there. So you think I'm going to do this, do you?
Hard. Hurry, you guys. Yes. Hard. Never leave it. Hard. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Hard, guys. Hard, 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 hard. Roll it right over, Nan.
Oh, don't stay there.
Okay.
Good, Kim. Good.
And Colleen was right. She's going to put it right back again.
Linda, don't you eventually have to, I guess it depends what you want to do here. You want to win the game, or if you're just playing for the extra, but if you're playing for the win, don't you have to eventually jiggle them around to squeeze that red out?
For Colleen, eventually
for
they
Colleen,
will have to try and move it. Now, if this rock comes too close, I wouldn't be putting this too tight if I was Scotland, because it may allow some jiggles, Vic, and it may favor Canada.
Halfway's good. Halfway's fine.
But if it stayed this way, Vic, Colleen would have an in-turn draw to the button to win the game.
Oh, it's down.
Whoa. Draw.
That side still open to her? That draw side, as you say?
It is, although because we haven't seen many come arounds on center line stones, it may be a guess as far as where to put the broom.
Hard. Yeah, hard. 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 Quick.
Oh.
Hurry, 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 hurry. Hurry, 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 hurry.
Now they're jiggled.
Worked out pretty well for Canada, though, didn't it?
That's why I wouldn't have brought guards too tight, because that run back would leave the front one.
I kind of like that.
Kind of like it. Works out great for you.
As soon as they had a chance to move that red one up, see how tight it is now? You knew the angle was going to leave the top yellow and push the filling of the sandwich, as I call it, to the side.
That would be a tuna sandwich, I guess. coming around.
Where's it to be? 4 foot. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay. Looking for 3. 295. 8. Through and away.
Jackie Lockhart and the first skip stone here in 10-4-3 Scotland, Canada with the hammer. And line 1, center line covered, top of the 4.
We talked about Nancy's first stone being too long. With a rock in the rings now is a perfect spot.
Boy, diving at that guard really took off on them.
Get over, Annie.
Remember, she'd only played 1 draw in the game up to this point.
But it goes back to what you said earlier about that draw which Colleen may have had or still may have to play. They really don't know the ice out
It's
there.
tricky.
Do we want to do this? Draw this way like this?
Well, you could take this rock back as long as it's second shot. You could even leave it in the open as long as you get second shot out of it. You don't want to leave her a hit and a roll, but
let me ask you something. If it in fact is that tricky down here, would it maybe bumping up that stone on center line be the better shot?
you don't want to set up a double, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say you don't want to move that one, Vic, because it's such great protection.
It's been running pretty good.
And the other option
And all
is
you need is what? Fully.
not to even bring it into the second shot position. Try and make her make something that she doesn't at the moment have a lot of options.
Same as whatever you've been throwing. That's perfect.
So they've gone almost to the middle of the 12-foot here.
You want to put this anywhere that will help her. So
That's
you
right.
don't want it to.
Lots of room. Can you leave it for a bit?
Marianne way closest to the stone. Kim Kelly
Line's
is out
gonna be
in
good.
front.
Yar!
Now here they go, and look at it go. Look at it take off now as it dives towards the 4. Remember, there's a red stone out in front. Here comes Nancy Delahunt too. Can they get it by? They do. Take it back, drag it. Oh, and it just lost all its power once it caught the curl.
Walks it straight back, doesn't it? Yeah. No.
Great shot, Colleen, as long as you got that run back cut off.
She still can do the run back.
Not with the red rock, she can't.
It was a bit of a guess. They moved out further, and this was a bit light as we saw the rock clock at the hog line. What great line it would have been if it had a little more
Boy,
speed.
did she have great line on that? You're right, Linda. She gets it down to the face.
Than you had.
In for second shot. She wanted to be second shot someplace, even back a little bit.
Ever needs to pull this at the 5 minutes and then
Great fun.
So she'll go out and take almost exactly the same ice.
Is this the best way to go? Just look at that other port.
Is that not the way I came in?
Not sure. I think we should look at it again. Just, is it?
We've talked about the fact they've got tons of time.
Just wondering where the biggest port is. Like, can you come through this port?
Where?
It sits on this line for a while and then come through
She's
that
talking
way.
about here. It's pretty difficult.
Good.
She's talking about coming through here.
Sure, the line down there?
But you know the ice
Yeah,
here
remember
better than you
Kat's
know the ice on the other side.
Ooh,
She
but
was just a
the
bit
port
wide.
staggered wrong, and that's a tough spot.
Yeah, that is a tough spot, Linda.
Because the other thing I want to make sure is because I might guard up then.
Is that not the way I came into the, on top of the, on the button?
Yeah. You can't afford for it to pull too much. Yours hung a little.
You can see more of the 4 foot there.
That side.
Okay.
You
We'll go down
think
that side?
so? You can see more of the 4 foot anyway on that side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Edge
Right.
of the white.
Edge of the white. Okay.
Yep.
Good, good.
That's good.
Well, she's moving to the other side.
Oh,
Come on, Jackie. Feel it in the 4-7.
the belief here she knows the ice better, Linda?
What are you looking for?
Well, it is, Vic, but you touch one of those front rocks, and Colleen has a much easier shot
yes.
for the win. If you play to the other side, even if you don't make it perfectly, Colleen's looking at maybe a raise to try and get her second point. And remember, the red stone back 8 foot is second shot, and you'd have to beat it out.
Sure looks a lot smaller from that angle. Final stone, Scotland and Jackie Lockhart out of Aberdeen. All on its own right now. Nothing yet from Laird and Fairweather trying to find the hole.
Come on, swing!
Going to get through? No, she will not.
Hard lines, Jake. It's all right.
And now, how does Canada get there for second shot and the win?
She can come down to the back rock, Vic, with the same turn that Jackie just played.
Too much line, too much weight.
I just think this was the toughest shot she could
sure
try.
was. I agree.
Hard lines, Jake.
This turn now is a lot easier for Colleen, because to play the intern draw is very difficult to go out so far. This is just play down to the back one and the game is over.
And Linda, now you come back to the number of draws that she has played to this point. Advantage Colleen?
Definitely advantage Colleen. And it looks like in this spot you could even play down to the backing, because I think it's going to run very straight in this spot.
It'll curl like I think we seen it.
Just a draw. She has the backing, but there's it's just a draw down there. I think it'll run fairly straight down there.
I think it'll just be very true, which is in this spot straight.
And this is a
out-turn draw.
So wrong choice. Jackie Lockhart, and this opens the door for Colleen Jones in Canada to win it here, scoring 2 in 10 to move on to a final and a chance to defend her world championship against Sweden. Della Hunt calling them off. Way and Kelly backing right up now again. Diving for that redstone, diving for it. They get it by for a chance to go to the final. Too much. They couldn't hold it. And it slides on by. We're going to go to an extra. In a game filled with mistakes, the biggest was right there by Colleen Jones.
It's the first one that's curled. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if she was a little inside. She did play to the backing with the speed, and it goes right by.
I don't think Jackie Lockhart thought she'd be playing one more.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you by Karcher, quality cleaning equipment, by Nokia, proud sponsor of the Nokia Briar, and by Ford. Ford of Canada supports the love of the sport and the drive to achieve.
Well, as Linda and Ray were saying during the break, this has never curled before, so why now?
Well, you saw Jackie's hangout, and she took a little bit more ice, of course, but this looked almost like it picked something because it kind of went sideways on her. Right about here, it's going sideways here with very little rotation. I don't know, it may have picked something because that shouldn't curl like that, I don't think.
And so we will go to the extra tied 4-4 in this women's semifinal. The winner to play Sweden for the Ford World Curling Championship. Twice before, Colleen Jones in world play has gone to an extra end without the hammer. In her previous appearances, she's gone to the world. She's played in an extra twice before without the hammer and lost both.
Not the news we wanted to hear, Vic.
I'm going to give you the
Earlier
same
this
Kim.
week,
I do
though,
think the
she
6
won
will
with
glide
the
in a
hammer and
little
an extra
better.
against
Okay,
Russia.
that's perfect.
And she beat Switzerland in an extra today with the hammer.
A little tick on that first stone thrown by Nancy, moved it off the center line for Scotland.
Should be.
This is where you get the break in attempting to
center,
steal
guys.
from the 3-rock rule. We move to the 4-rock. Well, this stone cannot be completely removed from play either.
Yep. I don't know. A little. Okay.
Try again, Annie.
And Laird will try the tick.
There's a lot of theories about this. Many teams play the come around on the first lead rock when they have the hammer and try ticking on the second. 2 ticks are very tough.
It's okay, Annie. Fine, Annie.
But I really, you know, I really
Scared them.
am surprised at how much that rock curled. I'm sure that must have picked something, and they didn't call the brushing on right away. As a matter of fact, they called them off, so it looked like it was sliding fine. Then all of a sudden, it started to go sideways, and we haven't seen a lot of rocks do that, especially with that. And Colleen had what, back 12-foot weight.
No, it definitely had lots of weight, which normally makes it go that much straighter. It seems almost fitting that Marianne, with those kind of numbers, not Marianne-like numbers, have the chance here to bury a good one and try and set up the steal.
A lot of room. Full
Don't
four.
forget all the others if this one is good.
It's coming. Yep, hurt.
You can hear the scrub
Full
from
four, you guys. Only full four. Hurt.
Nancy Delahunt, Kim Kelly. Colleen Jones as well. Take it back. Look at it go. Look at it move. Wow. Top 4 and Perry.
Great brushing, but very nice throw by Marianne. Lots of room getting by, and look at it move once it hits that 4-foot area.
Yep, good way.
Center part of the sheet, it will curl.
Whoa.
A little more frost out there now too, Linda. You can hear it.
Catriona Fairweather
Good cut.
will peel off the center line guard.
Whoops, I'm sorry. Halfway.
We saw Scotland throw some nice guards last stand. The guards are tough late in the game. If it is changing at all as far as curl, you have to have exactly the right speed. If it's a little long, if it's too close to the hog line, you won't get the curl that you expect. And of course, if it goes too deep, you will get too much curl.
Yeah, let it on its own for a bit.
Pretty
Stop.
long. It's pretty long.
Okay, go then. Hurry hard. Hurry!
It's over. It's over.
Hurry!
We're not covering the rock.
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Good girl.
There is a hole if they want to play it.
Same way.
Should I send
Yep.
in hand?
Looking at the double peel as well. You know what you don't want to do. That one is ticked over enough that you want to make sure you get the more dangerous guard off the center line.
Yep. Oh. Good.
Fine cut.
Another look at the final stone by Colleen Jones.
Well, when you watch the brushing and watch the stone, take a look at the handle as it's now coming into the house. I think, Ray, you're absolutely right. It's got some rotation now.
It definitely had to catch something, Linda, because it just went sideways on her.
Giving Canada just the single, forcing the extra.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Get a 4-4
Good
tie,
weight.
Scotland with the hammer.
She has to get.
Halfway, halfway.
She's got to get it to the center line.
It's tighter than halfway.
Okay, now. Oh, yep. Hard. Hurry hard. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Quick, quick, hard.
Nice shot, Kim.
Tell her I'll narrow up. Stand, please. Tell her I'll narrow up on her next one.
Pardon me?
Tell her I'll narrow up on her next one.
That's a good guard. Very nice guard.
Arm. Bib.
You want to take a lot less ice than that, would you, Linda? If you're playing a guard.
Not on the guards, no.
Yep, girls, hard. Hurry. Yep.
right out of her hand. Laird and Fairweather pick it up.
Fine, Sheila.
It's been an open game. Sheila's played quite well. She's had a few rollouts, but nothing costly for them. And I thought that matchup might be a little bit bigger factor in the game.
Colleen talked about taking a little less size. You got to be careful here. That was guard was in a pretty good spot.
Is that too much?
Where?
Same.
A lot of weight.
Little tighter.
Whoa. No, it's good. It's good, okay. It's a little tighter. Lean. It's coming down. Lean. Both the same. Yep.
No!
Okay, whoa. Nice shot.
Is that rock supposed to be there? Can't imagine we've played anything that just that high that's not
Thanks,
there.
Mom.
Same weight?
Yep. Yep. Go. Hurry. Hurry. Yep. Yosh.
Fine, Sheila.
I could maybe leave one of those ribbons over there someplace just in case.
Yeah.
Cute.
I really thought when they had a chance to play through the hole, they might go after the stone in the top of the 4-foot. If Colleen keeps doing what she's doing now, it's going to be difficult to get at that button for Scotland.
Close that center gap.
A Canadian win would set up a 5th Canada-Sweden final since 1979. Their countries are 2-2. Colleen last year beating Annette Norberg 5-2 in the final. Scotland, a Scottish win, and it would be the first ever meeting between Scotland
Here,
and
left,
Sweden
Nance.
in the women's final.
Hurry. Hurry up. Hard.
This is for speed they're brushing it. They're trying to just get it over that hog line.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, get it going. TK a little bit more, a little bit more.
Wow.
Kim Kelly and Mary Ann Way.
The shot rock is wide open now, though.
It's a bit more than that. They just snookered. Half?
Yeah, she needed that to be a lot tighter.
Pretty firm.
She had the
Good,
line
Ben?
pretty good.
That? Okay.
Earlier today, Sweden
Firm.
was a winner over Norway, 7-6.
Through and away.
So now they await the winner here in this extra end. The loser to play Norway for the bronze.
This is very close to the same spot that Jackie hit in the 9th end. And she just got by the front stone and made contact.
But lots of room here, that's for sure.
Whoa, whoa. Right off. Big. Big.
Right off.
Sorry about that.
She threw a little more weight.
Whoa. Yep. Yep.
Find the hole
Yep. Yep.
by 1, by 2. She did, and she'll sit right there.
Nice shots.
Kind of think hit and bounce now.
That's okay. Sorry, we should have
No,
kept
that's fine.
on it
It's
and
okay.
got a little.
It's fine, yeah.
It's not even going to be, you know, just full 8.
Threw this one nicely. She threw a little more weight, Linda, than she did in the 9th end, and she threw it nice and clean. Got the exact action she wants.
Should come nicely. That out turn that you just threw the other way came nice.
I know, but my weight.
They were looking for a roll, but you can see by the way Canada's taking some time with their calls. This is not all bad for Scotland to leave it at the top of the house. Really making Colleen think about how she's going to get in there.
Well, she can draw in, but
I think I like this, you guys.
she
But
could
then
hit.
she only has to draw full 8.
Yeah. You know,
Well-
Whatever you like.
got lots of room around that out turn guard to draw.
I just don't like leaving her to bump up.
Yeah, but
You can't block everything. she'd be full in the 8 foot, and all Jackie would have to do was bite the 8 foot, or get it fully into the 8 foot, I should say, of course.
What about the draw to sit 4 foot?
You could for sure.
Yeah, we're looking. That's what we're looking at too.
Because she can't bump that way.
It's like if you come this way, it's a lot easier for her to bump that way, the way that they're staggered.
Yeah.
And it's such a long guard.
Yeah.
What do you think out here, guys? 3?
Do you like it though, Colleen?
I do like it.
Okay.
What did I throw last end, you guys? I mean, did I? No, not that one. When I was throwing down here, was I noticeably back lying?
You can throw 23-2, okay?
Just like.
Yeah.
Now, do you want it? She's going to play the tap up. Is that what you're thinking?
Oh,
She's going to play the tap on that red stone if you're Scotland?
That's not such an easy shot with tap up weight, Vic. You know, you could get to the face of that by throwing the same kind of weight that Jackie just threw, but with just tap up weight, that's a pretty tough shot.
So, Linda, where do you want this in the 4 foot? Just top 4 or just bite the 4 anywhere in the 4?
Anywhere in the 4 at this point, Vic, and that'd really put the pressure on your opponent to probably play the other way around, the out turn draw, and try and beat it out.
Nope.
To come up?
Well, I don't know. About the intern, you mean?
Yeah.
Does look a little wide.
Yeah, just a little less, Nance. Yeah. Well, that out turn killed her, though.
Okay.
Final stone for Canada.
Line's fine.
Without the hammer here in this extra.
Lots of room.
Facing one, Colleen Jones.
Line's fine, you guys.
Line's great.
Line's fine, hard.
Boy, way in. Kelly never let up now. Look at it start to go. Can they sneak it by?
No,
They will not.
It just stopped dead on her, too.
And Scotland is through to the final of the Ford Worlds.
Thank you.
Jackie Lockhart and the team from Aberdeen will play Sweden in the final.
Well, we do talk about how the draws get tougher and tougher as the game goes along. You're not sure of the ice, you're not sure of the speed, and neither was quite right on that last draw for Colleen.
Scotland wins it 5-4 in the extra, setting up a gold medal match with Sweden. Skipped by Margareta Sigfridsson. Will be their first ever Scottish-Sweden final. Means we'll be back with you at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 Pacific. And Colleen Jones will play Doherty Nordby for the bronze medal here in Bismarck. So till then, bright and early, 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning, this has been a presentation of TSN, Canada's sports leader.